Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Talks on Tuesday. You can find us on YouTube under Talks on Tuesday. And we record our conversations here for a half hour. And I always like to say that I like to imagine that we're just sitting in a living room, and maybe we're all in Anka's living room on her yellow couch and her yellow love seat, and sitting around having a conversation. Maybe we've had a martini, maybe we haven't. But I'm hosting today, and we talk about all things metaphysical, spiritual, um, supernatural, and one of the most basic topics I think in that is that I see across social media, at least, is the manifestation of our reality. How to manifest something in our reality we'd like to have, or such thoughts like that. And um I kind of have a library of books, and a lot of my books originally that I went and purchased off Amazon, I think when I first learned about reconnective healing, you know the reconnection, heal others, heal yourself. I was following Case Parks on YouTube, and he had a list of books. It must have been like 20 or 25 of them. And one of those books on his list of suggested reading for, life-changing type books was a book called The School of Gods by Stefano D'Anna. And on the front of it dates when I've started to read it, and I never really finished it. And I picked it up for the third time. And just with a shake of heads, has anybody read this book? Okay. So that makes all of us have not read it to the end. But anyway, so actually this time I've only gotten through about maybe 1/10 of it. But there is the beginning parts, and I swear this is a movie, because every time what type of book is it? Well, I'll let you know. It kind of reads like a movie, kind of like when they made the Celestine Prophecy into a movie, and it was kind of a journey. And thanks, Gordy, for the emoji in chat. But it kind of, if you have the thought that you can sit down and manifest your reality, this book kind of points to a different way of what reality is. And it says that it kind of shows through this telling of a story that absolutely nothing in your current reality is new, that it all originated from a previous state of your being, or a belief, or an emotion. So, and the only difference between reality right now and your state of being is just the passage of time. Your current reality required maybe the passage of time, but anything that pops up and you have a reaction to it is because you had that emotion or belief or state of your being previously. And it really resonates with me. And I try hard to think of an example of like something happening in reality other than like the national things happening in our political stuff right now. But even if you think in the back of your head about that way, but like it's really self-centered of me. But I think of like waking up in the morning and I have a new pimple, and I look at my face and I get irritated maybe. And that's the only example that really resonates with me today, that I think the irritation I have with the new pimple on my face is equal to maybe a couple days ago or just previous, where I've just been carrying a little bit of irritation. I don't know. I'm going to open it up for discussion, but before I do that, I'll just read one little paragraph that kind of pertains to this. It's on page 58. Whoever you meet, whoever you encounter, is always the past, even if it appears to be before you at this moment. What you see and touch is only the materialization of your inner states. Past is dust. The world you see and feel in this precise moment is the materialization of all that you have been. There is nothing that can happen in your life that has not already been accepted into your thoughts. And it goes on to say, the world is dust. With a puff, you blow it away. So, okay, Barbara, what would you like to share?
What I'm hearing you, what I think I'm hearing you say sounds similar, although presented differently, but of what Abraham Hicks talks about, because she talks about how you have this vibration and you attract whatever's kind of in the, whatever the vibration is vibrating at, whatever rate or manner it's vibrating, that's what you bring in. And she talks about the same thing. Your reality is not what's happening now. It's kind of like what you were saying, you were irritated the other day and you were kind of thinking about that and created this vibration that was maybe a little bit unharmonic. And so then today you wake up with this pimple, and that's kind of the manifestation of that inharmony that was the vibration that was kind of around you. So that it makes sense. Although when I was
It's
looking
kind of
at a
like the
little bit of that book,
yeah.
when you talked about it yesterday, it was dense. It was hard to read, but that's kind of what I'm taking from that. Does that make? I mean, does that seem? Yeah, go ahead, Jules.
Yeah, and before we go to Julie, I'll just say, yeah, it's kind of like the maybe if I think, okay, I have a pimple and I feel irritated, okay, if that was created by a previous state of my being, the whatever you are level you're at vibrating at, if it is not, if it's a little off kilter and you're a little irritated or unhappy or whatever, the universe doesn't judge that as good, bad. It just gives you more. Go ahead, Julie.
I don't know that this really applies to what you guys are just talking about right now, but it's interesting because yesterday I was listening to Bashar. I don't know if everybody knows who that is. And he was talking about, well, it's a channeler. It's a guy, I can't remember his name, and he channels this entity, Bashar. Very interesting, the way he talked, the way he comes through. Very forceful, but he was talking about manifestation. And so I thought, wow, that's interesting, because I think at that time I knew already that we were going to talk about this book. And just that one thing he said was, we are manifesting constantly, like in the present, we are manifesting. And maybe you could tie that into what you're talking about, because since we're doing it constantly, we're taking it from prior vibrations, like you were saying. That's all I want to say.
Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, I'm always thinking about, well, what do I do with this? What's the lesson of this? And for me, it's like, being in the moment, being either loving or neutral or being in observation means that that moment of calmness will continue to manifest rather than if I am deep into some annoyance, that will also manifest in different ways. But being peaceful, being loving in the moment, that still point of the turning world, then you can't help but manifest more peace, calm, acceptance, observation.
Yeah. Go
And
ahead.
thanks. And in saying that, Mary, Bashar also said that, I don't know, he kind of talked about not having intention and all this other stuff, but he said, you don't, with intention, you go, I want to do this. This is what I want to manifest. You don't do that. You be that,
Mhm.
you know? So your being. And, you know, it's like, let's just say I want to be, I want my studio to be successful, and I want to have clients, but instead of wanting it, I see myself already there, basically. Yeah. And which is kind of what you just said.
Another way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Because that lines up the vibration to exactly what it is that you are and are desiring and are being. So, but getting back to what you were saying initially, Chelsea, I remember a time, an incident, and this has happened to me so many times over the years, but I think this was one of the last ones because but where I was at a hotel over in Central Oregon, and something didn't happen right. I can't remember what it was, but I was talking to the desk clerk, and it was not a good situation for whatever reason. I don't even remember the details, but I was just kind of pissed, and I was like, ugh. And then we got it worked out, and it happened. It was okay in the end. But then my husband and I went out to dinner, and at the restaurant, somebody banged into our car and left a little dent. It's like, and I just felt the connection to that was that irritation and the, little kind of back and forth that I had earlier in the day with that desk clerk. And, I'll never know. And maybe it was going to happen anyway, who knows? But I just find that, it's not like, oh, I never had bad stuff that happens in my life, but I can oftentimes, if I have something that's irritating that happens, my response to it is not more of the same. It's like, okay, this is it, and we'll just kind of continue on and maintain that the more smoother vibration, I guess.
Go ahead, Mary.
And I think it's not all about us, what we manifest for ourselves. It's what we manifest for the entire collective, soul's reality. I think it was Garrison's Keeler once who was using this example that, if a woman is walking down the street and she trips and skins her knee and she swears, and that's her response, then on the other side of town, some kid's balloon pops. And, you don't know what's happening with his energy sending out. So don't have the lady down the street drop her casserole because I'm in a bad mood. And I think there's kind of a boomerang effect between all of these emotions we go to because we are inextricably connected with every other person's reality.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Renee, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to just add in that I sort of have a little bit of an issue with the whole concept of manifestation, because I know that what I want is not necessarily what is going to unfold. And what is going to unfold has the highest good for all concerned at heart. So it isn't just all about me. And energetically, I can really impact someone's day in a very profound and positive way. And today, for example, I was out and about and I was about to walk toward a door, and this gentleman saw me coming, stood there, waited until I got to the door, opened it up really wide so I could walk through. And I said, "You are so rare." I said, "I really do appreciate this." And then he smiled and we both passed and went on our merry ways. But to me, those little moments are really key in keeping everything in sync. And then this morning, I needed to make a medical appointment, and I was on the phone. I was getting annoyed because every time I called, the line was busy. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to be like right there when I go out this morning. I'll just go in person and drop into the office and see if that makes a difference. Well, I walked into the office. I went, I've been trying to get through to you guys on the phone, but it's always busy. I said, I need to make an appointment. Can we do that? She looked at her calendar and she goes, yeah, December 3rd. How's that? I said, great. Write me in. It was so easy and so simple. I could have been, grumpy about it, or I could have, allowed it to bug me. But I thought, well, you know what? I'm learning how to pivot. I'm learning how to sort of dance on a dime. I can be going one way and I can see, oh shit, just missed that bus, 25 minutes for another one to come. All right, I can go this way, or I can even go that way. So while everything is unfolding, if it's not going in the direction that I would like it to go, I have to be prepared to sort of go a different way, figure out a new plan, do it in the process while it's happening. Not, okay, genie, magic genie, rub the bottle there. Like Elizabeth Montgomery used to do with her nose. That's what you want, that's what you get, and you just have to wiggle your nose and it's going to appear in front of your face. Well, no, it isn't. Sorry. And sometimes there will be delays that you don't want to deal with, and sometimes there will be aggravation, and sometimes people will, only if you let them, they will piss you off or whatever. But I'm learning to say, you know what? My peace of mind matters more to me. So whatever I need to do to preserve that, I'm going to do that. You want to get pissed off? Great, go right ahead. But I'm not going there with you. So so it's kind of all a game. It becomes more of a game to me. It's not more of like a pointed thought. I want this to happen. Did you hear that? I want this to happen. Do you understand?
Because
I might
sometimes, I was just going to say, sometimes, go ahead, finish your thought, Renee.
Yeah, I guess my point is just be open-minded and be open-ended. Don't have this very clear-cut picture in your mind about what you want and need to happen because you want and need it to happen. Because sometimes there's a much greater plan that will present itself if you just get out of the way and sort of clear your very gripped image of what you think is the best option for you at some point in time. So allow, make space, become receptive, flexible.
Yeah.
It's a practice, it's a practice.
Yeah, I like that word practice. That's totally it.
Yeah.
And I like how you point out that even if we did have a certain manifestation or result in mind, we are just limited by our mind, and maybe the universe has something better for us in mind.
I like it.
But one thing you said, Renee, was about even if we did have our intentions, or I want this, they want this, that that you have a faith that what will unfold will probably be best for for the greater good of all. And then I think of that, and I think, and you can't control everyone's reaction to that. Some people will be happy, some people will be sad, and maybe those that are happy are just naturally happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to also point out that, as I've gone on in this book, it's gone on to some other points that I really don't agree with, based on it's kind of talking about sleep being unnecessary, or maybe a weakness. And I don't know, maybe it's years and years of Gillian Fleer that I believe that sleep is necessary and good, and it does return us to who we are, especially if you factor in babies and elderly. And but I don't take a book and just think it all must be true for me, go ahead, Barbara.
Does it say why he believes that sleep is not necessary?
No, I mean, it's kind of telling it in a story way,
Oh,
framing it as a weakness, or but it's definitely something that I don't agree with. I mean, I for one, if I need a nap, and last week I kind of came down with a cold, those kind of situations,
mhm.
I do not feel guilty for taking a nap.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And I find it interesting that people who are getting ready to transition, to die,
A lot.
oftentimes sleep a lot. And it's almost
Mhm.
like they're doing this little shift or something, they're using that sleep period to almost disengage themselves from the physicality of this existence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To help with the transition, kind of.
yeah, yeah. I mean, not everybody who's going to die does that, but a lot of people, are getting
Mhm.
there.
Well, we're going to wrap it up here in a few minutes.
Oh,
Anybody else? Okay, well, personally, I over the last, I also kind of look at this subject as kind of, if I have a goal in life, or there's something that I want to achieve, and I'm kind of in a space in my life where it's not really always about manifesting or reaching a goal, but maybe just being happy with how things are, and maybe something else is going to evolve. You know what I mean?
I
Go ahead, Julie.
you just made me think of, that's kind of like, just letting go and knowing that something's going to happen. It's that more of a feeling of wonder that we've talked about in reconnective healing. It's to have that feeling of wonder, which could, with me, it's kind of like an excitement. You can look at whatever is going to manifest or come to be, what your reality might be, is going to be something new and exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you brought that word up. I hadn't really felt that word physically in a while. It's a nice remembering of kind of all the things we kind of do agree on. Yeah. Go ahead, Anka.
When I was in school, I had to learn many things like English or other subjects that were difficult to me. And the next day, I make them the test good because one night before I was thinking, and I think I was manifesting was what I knew at the test, and I do it better when I sleep with something that I want in next day.
Mhm.
Mm.
Do you think it had a little bit to do with giving yourself confidence?
Self-confidence and power of manifestation, I think.
Mhm. Yeah.
Or thinking at a subject very long, redundant, I think, repetitively, re- repeatedly. I don't know. And I have power of manifestation in 5 minutes when I before I think after happens. I just
Mhm. Yeah. Go ahead, Barbara.
What you were saying reminded me of Edgar Casey, how he, when he was younger, he would put school books under his head and sleep on them, and he would know the information the next day. It kind of like absorbing it. And that's, I mean, I think that kind of takes us back to what you were saying about sleep, Chelsea, and how it takes us to this essence, this true being essence of, and it makes it easier maybe to absorb that information. But yeah, I just like being in the moment and trying to like you were saying, Jules, just maintain the wonder and the
Mhm.
yeah.
Just made me feel when you said when you're sleeping, and I thought, well, it's kind of like when you're sleeping and whatever you've taken in that day, like for me, when I example, when I listened to Solomon speaks, and Jillian's talking, and she many times she really goes down a rabbit hole or whatever, and I'm like, oh my God, what is she talking about? Or whatever. But I feel like then when I go to sleep, it's marinating, you
Mm.
know, and I'm absorbing it that way. And I have to say to myself, when I start to get like, oh my God, I don't know what she's talking about, I go, just, you're hearing it. Don't worry, because from the very beginning, that used to happen to me. And when we were in what was that other group we were in? Live and Love, and we were the life leaders. That's what it was. And I would be all, frustrated and upset, and you guys would just go, just doesn't matter, you're hearing it. Yeah. So anyway, marinating.
Yeah. So I am going to finish this book and I will report back to all of you if it's worth reading, unless it goes completely off the rails, and then I will just donate it. But and I did that once with a book called Oneness. It had the most beautiful cover. It was baby blue and it said Oneness, but it was just not the book for me, and I had to donate it, but it was so sad.
One more thing.
Okay, go ahead, Julie.
It's a movie, but I don't know if it's from that book or not, because I think the movie is, what is the title of that again?
The School for Gods.
Yeah, it's without it's School for Gods. And it's kind of like a farce kind of story, it looked like. So I just thought I'd tell you that.
I'll look and see if that's
I
the
was
same
looking
thing
up.
or-
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's some sort of thread of continuity with something called the School of God that this story might be about. I don't know, but that runs through other books or something. But I am so happy that we all got together today, and we will post this on our YouTube channel and come up with another topic next week and all join together again. It's so great to see all your faces, and hope everyone has a wonderful week.
wonderful. Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
thanks.
everybody.
Bye.